Okay, so you've probably heard the name Nikhil Kamath, right? Co-founder of Zerodha, India's youngest billionaire. The story's a classic. School dropout makes it big. But what if I told you the version you know is missing the most important part?
Yeah, the story that gets passed around leaves out some really crucial details. So today, we're going to peel back the layers on this legendary success story and find out what actually went down.
See, the legend paints this picture of a kid who had to drop out. You know, the classic rags to riches tale. But the reality, well, it's way more interesting. He was a dropout who chose that path. And that one little word, choice, it changes absolutely everything.
So to really get that choice, we have to look at the ground he was standing on. We've got to talk about his family's safety net because honestly, it was a lot stronger than the story usually lets on.
Let's be super clear here. Dropping out of school for him, it wasn't an act of desperation at all. His family could easily afford his education, and they didn't need him to bring home a paycheck. This was a calculated move, made from a place of security.
So what did that security look like? Well, his dad was a senior executive at Canara Bank. His mom, she ran her own event management company working with huge brands like HP and Bosch. And his brother was already in the financial world acting as a mentor. And get this, their very first funding came from his dad. So this wasn't some blind leap of faith into the unknown. It was more like a leap onto a perfectly placed industrial-strength trampoline.
And having that kind of foundation, that changes how you can approach your early career, right? People love to talk about his first job at a call center as part of the hustle. But really, it was way less about survival and a whole lot more about strategy.
Okay, don't get me wrong, his schedule was insane. Trading stocks all day, then working a call center shift from 4 p.m. to 1 a.m., and then hitting the books on finance during the weekends. The work ethic was definitely there. But the real reason for that call center job, it's probably not what you think.
He wasn't there for the paycheck. He was there because it was the perfect lab for understanding people. Think about it. He was there to learn how to communicate, how to sell, how to get inside the mind of a consumer. It was basically a free education in human psychology, a totally strategic move, not just some job to pay the bills.
And all of this brings us to the heart of the matter, privilege. I know, that word gets thrown around a lot, but in the world of entrepreneurship, it has a very specific meaning, and it completely changes the game when it comes to the idea of risk.
So you might be thinking, okay, so he only made it because he was privileged. Well, no, not exactly. It's a bit more complicated than that. Let's define what we mean by privilege here. It is not a golden ticket. It's not a guarantee of success. The best way to think about it is as a safety net. It's what gives you the freedom to take massive risks, to fail spectacularly, to try out wild ideas, and, this is the key, to get back up and recover from those failures in a way that someone without that net just can't.
Just think about the stakes of failure for a second. For someone like Nikhil Kamath, a big screw-up would have been, an expensive lesson, a setback. But for someone else, someone without that financial and family backing, that exact same failure could be devastating. It could be a life-ending event, financially. The stakes just aren't on the same planet.
So where does that leave us? What's the real takeaway here? Look, this isn't about tearing down his story or discrediting his journey. Not at all. It's about understanding the powerful formula that actually made it happen.
Saying he had privilege doesn't take away from his achievement. You can think of it like this. His background provided the runway, for sure, but he still had to design the plane, build it piece by piece, and learn how to fly it. The opportunity was a gift, but he's the one who turned it into an empire through sheer effort.
And that effort, man, it was massive. We're talking incredible discipline, being super frugal, and having a ton of patience. It took them 10 years to fully execute their vision for Zerodha, and they bootstrapped the whole thing, meaning they used their own money, no big outside investors swooping in. In the startup world, especially in finance, that is one of the hardest ways to build a company. Those are the qualities that turned a head start into a billion-dollar finish line. So after hearing all this, it's really easy to feel inspired, right? To think, maybe I should take a big leap like that. But the real lesson from Nikhil Kamath's story isn't just about being bold. It's about being brutally honest with yourself. Before you even think about jumping, you have to ask, are you inspired by the legend, or are you actually prepared for the reality? And maybe the most important question of all, what kind of safety net do you have waiting to catch you if you fall?